Hi, I'm Penny Bishop, and I'm co-director here at the Middle Grades Institute, and I'm a faculty member at the University of Vermont.
And I'm James Nagle. I'm a faculty member at St. Michael's College, and I'm the other co-director of the Middle Grades Institute. Back in 2013, personalized learning and flexible pathways and proficiency-based education were enacted at the state legislature in Vermont. And at that time, Penny and I were actually on the working group. And we said, this would be a perfect opportunity for middle schools to get on this particular trajectory. We thought it was good pedagogy. It aligned very well with the middle grades philosophy and practice. And since then, we've been incorporating personalized learning and flexible pathways and proficiency-based education since 2014. And we're continuing to do it today. And this year, we've really taken it to another level. We're incorporating and integrating Gorski's equity literacy framework. And we're layering that on top of middle grades practice, middle grades philosophy, and also personalized learning.
One of the nice things about that is that we have been focused on developmentally and culturally responsive practice for a really long time in the middle grades. And so when Act 77 came along, it felt like a really good match to give teachers license to do what we have believed should be done for a long time. So it felt like a really good fit.
And now this year, with the incorporation of thinking about how Gorski's framework of equity literacy can be part of the day-to-day practice and planning and teaching that our middle grades teachers do, we've been working with about 170 teachers this summer, asking them to start kind of taking a pivot and looking at equity in several ways. One of the ways is, for instance, how does equity advantage certain students and not so much other students? And in what ways that actually happens?
I think I was having a conversation about this last night with Dr. Kathleen Brinegar, who is from Northern Vermont University, and she's been doing a lot of important work in this area. And we were talking about how it is possible that because the middle grades concept really came out of a philosophy, it's possible to be integrating the middle grades concept without necessarily practicing equitable practices. So you can do the middle grades concept, but unless and in the spirit of the concept or the philosophy is in fact to reach all learners. But if you're not drilling down deep into one's equitable or into the practices with an equity stance, it's easy to miss students, and it's easy to miss out on a variety of opportunities that Gorski lays out so nicely. So it's really important to couple those, and then you bring the personalized learning piece in, and it's a really important and powerful trifecta.
So a good example of that would be having student-led conferences, but not providing students the opportunities to go ahead and practice in class with scaffolding and resources to allow them to be able to have the conference with their families in a way that allows them to be successful.
Right.
And so one of the things we're asking teachers to do through the Gorski framework is to really look at the 4 abilities of literacy equity. And those are to be able to recognize inequalities, to be able to respond to them in practice, and then to be able to redress those issues, and then finally to create and sustain equity literacy in all of your practice. So going back to the student-led conferences, we had one group of teachers that are developing conferences for next year with their students, and they realized that they needed to have different ways of communicating with the family about what these new conferences were going to look like. And what they did traditionally was just email the families. And they realized, not everyone in rural Vermont, where this particular school is, has internet connections. And so now they're strategizing on different ways in which they're going to make sure that every family in that community is able to learn about student-led conferences, so that they're ready to support their students when their students show up and present.
And the counterpart to that, and perhaps in our more urban settings of Burlington and Winooski, we have folks who are talking about, so how do we ensure that this is accessible to to the families of students who may not speak English, or who are learning English. And so that's another piece of that puzzle, as well as making sure that families can in fact attend the student-led conferences, and that every student has an important adult in their lives at the table.
At the table.
Whether it's virtually or otherwise.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to consider.
So this week is really the first year of a multi-year exploration of how to really allow our teachers to see that their practice includes equity work in everything they do. And we're seeing many of the teachers leaning in and saying yes to this. And what we're trying to do is provide the supports and practice and scaffolding to allow them to investigate their own practice and start recognizing and responding to it.